The summer heat is at its peak as we're entering the second half of the split. The 10 teams in the LEC are doing battle yet again against one another to claim the playoff place spots. Welcome to Week 5's predictions, where we will be covering all 10 games as well as the results from last weekend. Speaking of which, let's go over them now. Honestly, quite a poor weekend for us, 4 out of 10, and do you want to know why? Because of the shock results that we saw during the opening games. Let's be honest, day 1 had a lot of shock. We only picked up the Mad and the Rogue games, and on day 2 we only picked up the Mad and the Rogue games. Kind of a coincidence there. Regardless, let's jump into our first prediction. Let's kick it off with SK taking on BDS. Two teams actually at the bottom of the table going ahead against one another. It's quite interesting because SK had a phenomenal week last weekend, beating out G2 and XL, two teams who were at the top of the table at the start of this split. As for BDS, their form is still sucky. They've not really picked up any strength, I don't feel, as this split has gone on, where other teams have picked up strength. But the second half of the split should be where you start to see some success, as you've got the knowledge of how teams play already in your memory banks on patches that are very similar. As for the result, I have gone with an SK win, purely based on the fact that they're just stronger right now. We're so hot here, and we're getting even hotter with our second matchup, Misfits versus XL. I don't know where I'm going with that intro in, but let's just talk about these two teams. Misfits stocks are rising, XL's slightly staggering in dropping. And personally, if we're gonna talk about these two teams, gotta look at their form. XL got off to a flyer. They sat top of the table at the start of last week. Now not so much, because Misfits are now, I believe, either tied or above them in the table after another solid 2-0 week. As for this game, it's going to be close. There's no doubt about it, these two teams probably will face off during playoffs. And personally, I've gone with Misfits winning this one. My note says XL, but my head's now saying Misfits, and let's start talking about it. The form at the moment for Misfits is looking better. They had a rough start to the split, and that was expected. A lot of these players are new to crowds. VTO, Mercer, Irrelevant, even, what's his name? I forgot their names. But basically, pretty much all of the Misfits squad is new to the crowd, and that's a huge step up for them because they're not used to cheers, they're not used to the boos. That even if there is boos, let's be honest, the LEC never boos players, but the crowd affects players, and this is now probably starting to become more of a common thing for these players who are stepping up. They're becoming very solid players, and personally, I think Misfits have it in the bag here against the XL lineup. Vitality Mad, another close matchup for two teams. I'm going to be honest, it is a mid game for this one. Niski versus Perks is where we've got to look. Yeah, you could look at Armor versus Alfari, who have both been popping off and looking very strong and contenders for All Pro, let's be honest. But I don't think we should realistically look there. We need to look in the mid lane. The contrasting and similar styles between these two teams is mid laners. Both like to set up at the current stage. They're facilitators for the team right now. And Niski, I just think, is one step above Perks at the moment. And I'm not saying because of the individual lane matchup, I'm also including the bot lane. Bot for me this year, I've not been hype on Kazi. I've been speaking to people recently about Vitality, and I've just aren't high on them. I don't know why, other than the fact that the bot lane just doesn't click for me. It doesn't work with the rest of the team. It's very detached. Whereas you want, when you're drafting these sorts of teamfight comps, to be attached to the bot lanes. They're the ones who are meant to carry you through a fight. And Vitality just aren't clicking for me. And that's why I've purely gone with Mad, who, let's be honest, Unforgiven and Kaiser have had a stellar season so far. Unforgiven Zeri popped off recently, and he's just looking better and better the more picks he shows us. And that's kind of a big reason why I've gone with the Mad Lions winning here. Game 4 sees G2 and Astralis entering into the Rift. No, this is not the major for CSGO where you would realistically expect to see this matchup, because that's probably got more action or more success between those two teams in CSGO than there currently is for these LEC teams. Yep, I said it. Tied for 7th place, G2 are. They've had kind of a bit of struggle because teams have kind of started to figure them out. Shut down Caps. Plain and simple. That is how you beat G2 at the moment. And Caps has been probably showing some of the faults for G2 with the fact that he has the highest death rate, I believe, of all players in the LEC. And that is huge considering he is literally the LEC champion as of this split. He's a phenomenal player, and the start of the split he was showing that. Now his team's kind of struggling, and when you're in a tight pinch, G2 tend to go crazy and just unleash the randomness on people. I think they need that, because right now things aren't working, and an opponent like Astralis, who have been pushing teams to get better, who are on the verge of playoffs for themselves, could potentially take an upset win here against G2. But do I think they will? No. I think G2 should win this one. And I use the word should very, very specifically. I'm not saying will because of recent form. I'm saying should because I'm uncertain that G2 could win here. And if G2 want to make playoffs, they definitely need to win here. But regardless of that, I just think Caps will start to clap back. Rogue versus Fnatic rounds out day number 1. This is going to be quite a good matchup, because these two teams are fighting at the top end of the table. Fnatic obviously dropped 2 games last weekend, which gave Rogue that first spot for the overall position at the moment. And let's be honest, it could be quite an explosive matchup, as these two teams last faced off with Fnatic being the victors. Personally, I don't think Fnatic will get that bounce back double Victorio over Rogue and return to winning ways, because I just think Rogue are reaching their normal regular season selves of finishing first place. They are a best of 1 team, and you are starting to see it, especially after that rocky start. As such, continuing on with their good form, I think Fnatic don't stand a chance against the current first place team. Yo, day 2 is kicked off with BDS. Oh god, I'm already laughing. I don't care who wins this one. It's a bottom of the table scrap. Let's just say Astralis wins and get this over with. SK Mad is the 7th game this weekend. Personally, it's going to be quite good. I'm not going to lie. I could definitely see it being one-sided in favor of Mad. But let's be honest. If that's the case, good on Mad. You've definitely got my prediction here. Oh wait, what's that? I've gone with SK. Yeah, my predictions this week are a bit wacky, because my notes are saying one thing, my mind is saying the other thing. This one, believe it or not, I have actually written SK. I would say recent form favours SK, but I can't realistically give them that after one good weekend. I'm just feeling very silly goofy, and maybe it's the heat talking to me. I just think SK could just get an upset win here. That's just my mind talking. I can't say form dictates SK will win. I just think they will. That's my mind. It's time to cover one of the two teams left in the LEC for our matches of the week, and it's Misfits taking on Vitality. Let's jump into this thing because Misfits have been on the uptrend. They're looking pretty good right now, let's be brutally honest. Now, as for their opponents in Vitality, gonna be honest, they've done decent as of late. Taking the game off of Fnatic, but losing out to Rogue on the previous day, kind of puts them in a 5th/6th place spot. A place Misfits want and have quite clearly earned for themselves, at least so far during the split. After having a rough opening week, they've just been looking better and Becca. Becca? Who's Becca? Other than Trevor Henry's wife, who is Quickshot, and Becca Henry is also a part of Misfits. Yeah, let's go with Misfits, because I've accidentally said her. That's my prediction. Nothing based on strength or form recently, just because I said the wrong thing. Yeah, that's how we go here. The second to last matchup for this weekend realistically should be the matchup of the week, but it isn't, because it's technically already been that. G2 taking on Rogue. I'm gonna keep this one kind of on the short side. We've kind of discussed the G2 failings recently in the previous game, and we didn't give Rogue too much attention, but just said they won against Fnatic. Personally, Rogue here are my prediction winners, but G2, they have a knack of beating Rogue in the regular season. However, this time, I don't think that. Rogue probably will bring out a strategy against G2 that just beats G2. Larson is stepping up quite considerably this split. He is putting his name out there as MVP. And he never really gets that sort of status. He's always like All-Pro 2 behind Caps or behind Humanoid. He's always the bridesmaid, never the bride. I think he's going to be the bride this split. And he's performing exceptionally well. Even if he does faint on stage, which thank goodness he's okay for. I don't know why I said that. Regardless, this heat has taken away my thoughts. I've gone with a Rogue win. The last matchup this weekend sees Fnatic taking on XL. A former British org taking on a British org. This one's going to be interesting because both teams had a really rough weekend last week. So one of them's going to at least get a dub in these 2 weekends of action. But going to be brutally honest with you, this game's going to be hard either way. Fnatic as a whole kind of felt suppressed. Upset's been going with these crazy picks, but he isn't getting the same sort of follow-up with the likes of Humanoid. And personally, I think Humanoid has been heavily suppressed. I've already talked about Caps being kind of the weak point for G2 at the moment, and it's not that good for Fnatic either. Humanoid, I don't think, is at his prime anymore, or at the current stage would be a better way to word it. But Wunder is shining. He is still performing very well, even though Fnatic is in a bit of a struggle. As for XL, probably just a rough weekend of action, I'm going to be brutally honest. They got manhandled by their opponents last weekend in SK and also Astralis. 2 teams nearing the bottom of the table. Not good signs for this team, as Fnatic, As for Fnatic, they faced off against Vitality, a playoff team at best, and then also faced off against Misfits, who are on the up and up. Fnatic had it hard last weekend. XL did not. But XL tend to do better against these higher ranked teams. So what is my prediction? I'm going to stick to my guns. Even though I'm kind of talking myself between the two predictions, I'm going to stick with Fnatic as my victor. And with that, I'm going to end this out here. Thank you very much for joining me. Akita-sen, give her love. She made all the artwork. I always say that. Regardless, thank you very much for joining me. If you enjoyed this episode, leave a like down below. Subscribe if you're new and whatever you want to do. And I will see you guys next time. Jesus, that's the quickest I've spoken this video. Peace out.